Hey everybody, Chuck back today. Sorry I haven't been back for a while, but I've had some kind of cold or bug where my throat was swollen up and it was hard to talk. You may hear I'm still a little gravelly, but I am over the worst of it. Anyway, just wanted to talk to you today about a little problem that I had, and maybe you do too. You ever had a great big model that have a that you've never made before? You designed it yourself and you're not sure it's actually going to do what you want it to do. And maybe you just like to print a little part of it, not the whole 60 or 80 or 100-hour print, just one little section of it to let you test to see if it actually works or not, without having to design a separate one, which is just one little piece. Or maybe you've had something you've downloaded from Thingiverse and boy, it's so close to being right, but boy, it just needs a little bit of tweaking. And all they've provided you have been the STL file. And if you've ever tried to load an STL file into a 3D editor, you'll notice, like Fusion 360, you'll notice it's not very easy to do anything with them. So the answer to this is a program called Meshmixer. It's a free program available for Windows and Mac, made by Autodesk, and it'll do all the things we want it to do. And maybe you've seen other people's tutorials on Meshmixer. I watched a bunch of them. Most of them are way over my head. So I wound up having to do a lot of poking and prodding in it. And maybe I can save you a little bit of trouble if you're just starting out in it. So let's go ahead and get it started. Meshmixer is a quirky little program, and it can be really fiddly. And until you kind of get the hang of it, it can be pretty frustrating. So another thing about Meshmixer is Z and Y are reversed. So let's import a model, and let's do that first thing I was talking about, where you've got some big thing you've designed, and you're not sure it's going to work, and maybe you just like a little piece of it, but you don't want to design just another separate little piece of it. You want to use part of the whole thing because honestly, it makes more sense. So I have a thing I designed, and here it is here. This is something that I've been making for the vape community. My wife quit smoking and is vaping. I don't. I've got asthma and allergies, and I try not to breathe anything that isn't as close to being good air as I can, so that kind of rules it out for me. But anyway, this is designed to mount to the wall and hold little plastic bottles of the vape juice. And I can customize the front with names on it and things like that. It's pretty cool. So, but my concern is, and notice that the bottom of each layer is a curve up. So I don't need support material. But my problem is I'm not really sure the bottles are going to fit. The bottles can be kind of oddball shaped. They have oddball shaped caps on them. And I don't want to make it any taller than I really have to, but I want to make sure that they do fit in without a wrestling match. So what I want to do is just print a part of it. I don't want to print this whole thing and then find out it doesn't work or I need to adjust it in some way or another. So that's where Meshmixer comes in. And if you already use Meshmixer and you know all this, you know what? Just skip this video. If you think there's a better way to do it within Meshmixer or you see a mistake I'm making, by all means, let me know. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Edit, and we're going to go to Plain cut, there it is. And you'll see this mesh here. That's where it's going to cut. Right now it's set to cutting the bottom out, and of course that's not going to work for me. So I'm going to rotate it around, and you'll notice the further you get your pointer away from the center, the easier it is to get the exact amount you want. Now this program never seems to lock into 180 for me, and I've never found a way to type anything in, so I don't really care if it's 180 or 180.13. So now we got it there. I don't want to print any more of the top than I have to, so I'm going to pull it down to where it's just barely above this line, and I'm going to say accept. Now you'll notice I've gotten rid of 2/3 of it. So, but I want to get rid of more. So I'm going to click plain cut again. And by the way, I don't know what most of these menu options do yet. So only thing I know how to do these 2, 3 things I do with it, but I'm trying to learn more all the time. So now I want to rotate it around this way. And I want to get as close to 90 as I can. Now, I think that was 90.9. And I want to come this way. And that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to say accept. And now I'm only printing this little bit of it. And I'm going to switch back to Cura because I have saved this. I'm going to switch back to Cura real quick and show you what it looks like. Here's what it looks like in Cura. That whole model will not print on my Ender 3. It's way too big. So I have to go use the Alpha YZ20, which is the only printer I have big enough for it. But this little piece I can print on the Ender 3, and I can tell if it's going to work or not. And this little piece will print in, and I'm not sure what settings I've got here right now. Let's see what my infill is. I think it's at 30. And that's probably what I'm going to print this at. I may print a little higher because it's going to be a fair amount of weight and it's going to mount to the wall. But let's leave it at 30 and let's say prepare. This little piece will print in probably about 5 hours compared to 60 for the whole thing. So as a test, just to make sure that you can get the bottle in and out without wrestling it or shoving it or not being able to at all, this is a great thing for me. Now, next thing I use Meshmixer for is, and you know what, let's close it and reopen it. One of the quirks I've found of Meshmixer is trying to close one model and open another one without shutting the program off. And I have had some interesting little battles with it to the point where I don't even try anymore. So recently I plugged up the hot end of one of my Ender 3s, and I plugged it up pretty badly. And it was the one with the Pets Fang on it. And the problem is the Pets Fang makes it very, very difficult to get to the boat, at least for me. You may be different, but this is me. Makes it difficult for me to get to the Bowden tube on top of the hot end, and makes it a mess to try and work on it. So I took the Pets Fang off, and this is me again. I broke it taking it off. So I thought to myself after I got the clog cleaned, I thought to myself, let's see what else is out there beside the Pets Fang. Maybe there's something else that will let me use those blowers, but not be so much in the way. So I found this, and it's on Thingiverse, and I'll put a link to it below. And the author says right in his description that the holes don't line up. And guess what? They don't line up. So here it is here. These 4 holes here, 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 and here, they mount to the stock Ender 3 sheet metal hot end cover, and then these 2 holes here and here mount the blower. The blower blows into there, and you can't see it really well, but then it blows out there in pretty much the same position the stock part cooling fan blows out of. Let's get this thing into the middle just to make it easier for us. So we're going to go up here to edit and align, and there it is. If it's turning all your stuff on end and embedding it halfway down into the bed here, there's a setting up here. You go up to File and Preferences, and there's a setting here called Flip ZY Axis on Import Export. That will make it so it doesn't do that. But be aware it doesn't change the fact that the program still considers the y-axis to be vertical. Just remember or it'll drive you nuts. And let's face it, these programs already drive us nuts because each one uses a different control scheme to rotate and zoom and move, and just makes me crazy switching between them. Anyway, so we have it in the center now. We'll say accept. Now, whoops. It's these, sorry about that. It's these 2 holes here that are off. And I don't remember exactly how much they're off or exactly in what direction. When I get it fixed and tested and working, I'll put a remix up of it on Thingiverse. Probably take me a week or so to do it, but I'll try and get it there. I hacked one into working for me just long enough to get it back together and running, but it's not a permanent solution. Next time I take it off, I want to have a correct one there for it. And I don't really need it on the printer. I don't really need the printer to test it because it fits on the printer. The fan doesn't fit correctly on it, so I can do that without ever having to take the printer apart. So what we want to do is I'm just going to show you how you move things in this program. Show you something you can't do in your slicer, or I've never been able to do in Fusion 360. So I'm going to click select. I'm going to up here, excuse me, up here under at the tool control panel where it says brush and lasso, I'm going to switch to lasso. Now let me take a quick drink here so I'm not hacking. One thing this program does is it does something different when you lasso, whether you start the lasso on the part or out in the middle of the nowhere. I have never exactly figured out what it's doing when you start the lasso on the part. So we're going to stay out here, and I just want to lasso this little extended boss with the hole in it. And I'm just going to do that. And you'll notice it colors that orange to show me what I'm working on, or whatever color you want to call that, kind of bronze. Now, and my menu here changes once I have a selection. I'm going to go up to edit, and I am going to go to extrude. Now, keep in mind, again, Z and Y are reversed. Under direction, I want to change constant to Z. And now you'll notice when I do my offset, I can move this thing in and out. And you'll notice it's moving more than I really want it to move. And I have managed to goof around with that and get it perfect. But to be honest, I wouldn't even care. I can file that little part down, or I can go in later with a slice and I can slice it off. So I'm going to click up in here where it says 3 point something or other. And if I remember right, these holes were about 3 millimeters off. So I'm going to say 1.5. And I'm going to say accept. And now you notice I have now brought that hole, and just that hole, out 1.5 millimeters. And I'm going to hit escape to get out of it. And now I want to come to this hole. And this hole's been a bit tricky for me. I managed to do one where I got it really good, but I'm not going to waste a lot of time because I'm just trying to demonstrate how this works. So we're going to click on select. We're going to switch again to lasso. Again, we're going to start out here, and I'm going to try not to do any more than what I want because it likes to select this part out here, and it did it again. It seems to want to get a chunk of that no matter what I do. I'm not going to fight it this time. And I'm going to come up to edit, and I'm going to go extrude, and I'm going to come this way. Whoops. And I only want to go 1.5. So, and I think this side has to be minus 1.5. 1.5. So I have now moved this out away. Oh, wait a minute. It was set on constant, wasn't it? Let's change constant to Z-axis. And I'm still at 1.5. And now I can say accept. And I can hit escape. And notice it pulled some other things out too. I can come in later with a cut, and I can cut this off if I want. This little thing here, I could cut it too, or use smoothing to smooth it. I could also just print it and file it down. As long as my holes line up, I don't really worry about that too much. Since I would post this as a remix, I would probably come in and slice this off to make it clean. I could probably use plain cut. I don't even need this extra little boss sticking out here, so I could come in with plain cut and just slice that all the way. Or I could smooth it, round it off, doesn't really matter. Anyway, that's that. That's how you would take some part from Thingiverse that isn't just exactly right and tweak just portions of it to make it right. So let's close this one. I want to show you how I do something else, and you're going to have to forgive me in advance for this next model. This is something else for the vape community that my wife really likes for some reason or another, and she wanted me to tweak it, and I'm going to show you what it is. Ladies, if you're out there, I hope you're not offended by this. My wife certainly isn't. She likes the thing. Anyway, let's open it, and I'll show you what it is. Let's go up here, and I clicked open again instead of import. You got to import. And where did it go? Here it is here. This is something else for the vape community. This little thing here, and this is something else on Thingiverse, and yes, I will put a link in. It's designed to put a single battery vape stick in here just as a holder on your desk. The only problem with it is he didn't extend the back of this block far enough. So you set something in here, the angle and tips it over backwards. So you would either have to glue it to a block or Velcro it to something, and it's kind of silly. And of course, there's really no way, just in Thingiverse, I could go in, or not Thingiverse, I could go in, and again, there was no CAD file included, just the mesh. I could use Cura, and I could extend the whole thing, but the hole would be around, the girl would be funny shaped, and all that. So let's fix this. And this time I'm going to use the same tool, and this time I'm going to use select. This time I'm going to leave it set on brush. And our brush looks like a good size. You can see the hole. You can see the shadow circle. So we're just going to click here, here, and here. And now those three triangles, those three polygons, whatever, that make up the back of that surface are now in orange or bronze or whatever you want to call it. Again, we're going to come up to edit and extrude. And we're going to extrude this back about 20 millimeters. And let's just type in 20. And accept. Now, our little block there now goes back far enough that if you put that vape stick in there, it's not going to flip the whole thing over backwards. And that's all that is. That's a really easy way to fix something that somebody else did that isn't right. And you can also see this red mark. That's a break in the mesh, and there are several breaks in this mesh. But we can go into, I think it's in edit, and where was it in edit? There's an auto fix for this somewhere in this. I thought it was in edit. Oh, it's in analysis, sorry, and inspector. You click analysis and inspector, and it shows you the holes in the mesh. And I've printed this and I haven't really seen anything, but you can just say auto repair and it fixes those spots for you. So again, it's an easy way to fix something that all you get is the mesh. If you're stuck working with meshes, this is a fantastic program to work with if you can get past how quirky the thing is. Another thing that bugs me about it is how tiny everything, all the text in the menu is. You know, I've got a pair of glasses for driving, a pair of glasses for reading, a pair of glasses for computer. I've got a pair of glasses for everything imaginable. But it's just, I just wish there was some way to adjust the sizes of this without adjusting everything else. But it's like Idea Maker. I wish there was some way to turn off that light gray versus dark gray screen, and I can't. And it's like that in this. For some reason, it doesn't bother me in this anywhere near as much as it bothers me in Idea Maker. Anyway, that's my little quick, super, absolute beginner lesson at Meshmixer. If I've helped you any, please click like and subscribe and turn notifications on. There'll be more videos coming now that I'm able to talk without gagging and choking. And there are some really neat sales going on right now at GearBest, both an overall wide sale, a site-wide sale, and sales again on the Ender 3 and the Alpha YZ20. And I've got more videos coming out on the Alpha YZ20. Really a pretty slick unit, really. If as long as you don't want to put stock Marlin on it, its touch screen is really nice, and it does some other things that are pretty neat too. They also have a sale on the JG Aurora unit that's pretty slick as well. I have never had a chance to use one, but I have watched some other reviews on it. And I'll put those all below. Yes, they are affiliate links. If you don't like them, you can always go right to gearbest.com and bypass my affiliate links. Don't make a big stink over it. If you don't like them, just don't use them. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this video. Come back next time and we'll have some more. Have a great day. Bye for now.